Well, good morning everyone. A lot of folks have been asking if I would make some videos and talk about items that I consider a must-have for the homesteading lifestyle, which I'm going to do. I'm also going to be doing some reviews on different tools and pieces of equipment and products that I use, but don't misinterpret that. I am not going commercial with my channel. Almost daily, some company will contact me, offer to send me flashlights and whatnot. 9 times out of 10, I don't even respond. I have no interest in going commercial with my channel, but it will be beneficial for my viewers to talk about the items that I use, and I will share my opinions from my experiences with them, because quite often people will ask me my opinion on different generators and chainsaws and whatnot. Now, I've been doing an awful lot of meat grinding lately. Just yesterday I was in town. I saw a really good deal on some pork. I bought this enormous pack of pork, and I'm going to grind it up today. Ground pork usually sells around $4.50 a pound. I'm going to grind that up at $1.39 a pound. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer like I am, having a good meat grinder on hand, the thing will pay for itself in a short amount of time, which I will demonstrate today. So I'm going to get that out, get it set up. We'll be grinding some pork. Now, I like to have a lot of ground pork on hand. It is just a versatile meat. I use it in any recipe that calls for ground meat. One thing I like to do is anytime I make meatballs, I make them out of ground pork, and ground pork will make the best meatball. The gratin recipe I talked about in a video a while back, that's just phenomenal stuff. I just love that stuff. That's always ground pork. I freeze it in 1 pound packages, and I take it out. I like to experiment. I like all different kinds of sausage, but I don't make all different kinds of sausage. So I'll take out 1 pound, and then I'll just throw in, some sage and black pepper and garlic and whatnot. And bang, you have an instant pound of sausage there with no chemicals, and there you go. Sometimes I use scallions and cheddar cheese and all kinds of different concoctions. It's fun to experiment. Another thing I do is, that we sell and we make and sell different spices. We have some dip mixes, and one of our best-selling dips is called firecracker garlic, which is a spicy garlic dip. And I'll take that dip mix and I'll mix it into about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of ground pork and make patties. I also do it with ground chicken and ground turkey. Make patties, throw them on the grill. Oh, spicy garlic chicken or pork sandwiches are just wonderful. But today I'm gonna grind up this 24 pounds of pork here, and it's at a heck of a savings, right? Because here we have 24 pounds, and now most of the time in the grocery store, when I see ground pork, it's running between $4 and $4.50 a pound, and I've even seen it higher than that. Big pack of meat here. This is all pork butts. There's 24 pounds, $1.39 a pound. Like I said, most of the time I see ground pork at around $4.50 a pound. This chunk here would cost $108 if I had bought it all ground up. But I'm going to grind it myself. I paid $33, so I saved about $75 or so right here by doing it myself. Today I'm grinding a very large pack of pork. I usually find smaller packs of pork butts like these here. Pork butts of this size usually have one small bone inside that weighs approximately 2 ounces or so. Out of this 24-pound pack, I had 21 ounces of scrap left over. The fat will be used when I'm grinding venison, and more meat could have been left on these bones to be used in my slow-simmered pork recipe. On other occasions, I've used pork riblets when I found them on sale like these here at $1.49 per pound. They require no cutting.
They're perfect in size for feeding through the grinder, but yet they still offer me ground pork at a savings of $3 per pound, and you can't argue with that.
I like to put the meat in the freezer for a little while, just to let it stiffen up a bit. It goes through the grinder a lot easier that way. Oh, there's a lot of nice pork sandwiches right there. You can find these little grinders that might sell for 60 or 70 bucks. I mean, some of those are okay if you're only going to grind a little bit of meat from time to time, but to try and do a whole deer with it, you kind of be beating your head against the wall. With the grinders, you pretty much get what you pay for. This one here, this has been a great grinder for me, and it's gonna churn up and spit out this 24 pounds of meat in just a few minutes. So I will put a few grinders in the description below just to give you examples of the power and the expense that I invested in my grinder. Now, if you don't have any experience grinding meat, you never used a grinder before, there's a few things that you should be aware of. These components right here, these two items right here, will become rusty if they're not cared for properly. After I wash them, I dry them off with a towel, and then with a paper towel with a little bit of olive oil on it, I wipe them down, and then I heat them up a little bit on the stove burner. Then, very carefully, when they're cooling off a little bit, I will wipe a little bit more oil on them. But I wipe off all the excess. I treat it just like I do a cast iron pan. I am in no way suggesting that you put a heavy coat of oil on here. It's a good idea to just avoid heavy oils like vegetable oil. I like to use a lightweight oil like olive oil. It's the same stuff that I use when I'm seasoning my cast iron, so I treat this in the same manner. Very, very light coat, and I wipe away all that excess. I can't overemphasize that point. If you have too much oil on here and you don't use your grinder very often, that oil is going to dry and it's going to become sticky, and vegetable oil will all usually become rancid. You don't want to be transferring that rancid flavor to your meat. You don't want to do that. But by all means, take the extra precaution and keep these two items rust-free, because having rusty implements or utensils involved with food preparation, it's just not a healthy idea. When I'm packaging up my meat, I like to put it in these cheap flapper type plastic bags first. If you don't do this and you just put the meat on the paper, then you're folding the paper. You're getting the paper all sticky and bloody, and the tape don't want to stick. It makes a big mess. Doing it this way, I can do that. Then I have all of these I can put on the paper. Everything's nice and clean. Plus the meat is double wrapped and it stays real good in the freezer that way. Well, that was easy. A good quality machine will grind up a batch of meat in no time at all. Quite often it takes longer to clean the grinder than it does to do the actual grinding. Now, before I close this video, there's just something I wanted to mention. A lot of people love Frankie. They like to send him toys and treats. He's already got an enormous supply of that stuff, and I'd rather see your efforts go into his health care. So I've come up with a solution for that. I posted my Amazon affiliate link in the description below. If you already shop at Amazon, I'd like to ask you to click on that link, save it to your favorites, and then go through that link whenever you shop there. I've set up a little Frankie fund with Amazon, so anyone that shops through that link, a percentage of their purchase will get kicked back into the Frankie fund. So instead of you spending money on Frankie on things that he may never use, this way you can spend money on yourself, and a little bit goes into the Frankie fund, and that's just a win-win situation. Now back to the meat grinder. As you can see, grinding some meat at home can offer you a tremendous savings. Grinding that one package there, I saved over $70 and that $70 can be used for other groceries to put in the pantry. It's just a great money saver. And around here, folks, saving money, well, that's just good backwoods logic. Yes.